Welcome. In this revision session, we're going to look at question 5, which is the first question from section B. Now, if you've missed any of the other revision sessions for component 3 listening and analysing, you'll find them all here on YouTube. If you like this particular format and want to see more of these videos, please show us your support by giving us a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. So, without further ado, let's crack on. So, as said previously, question 5 is part of section B. Section B has 2 questions worth 35 marks in total. So this question here is worth 15 marks, and then question 6 is worth 20 marks. So for question 5, you're going to be asked to write a response on an extended open response question, which is basically an essay-based question. The question will be a comparative and based on the production techniques and effects processing used on 2 recordings. This question is worth 15 marks, as said previously. You're going to need to write clearly and concisely, so no repetition. Make sure the examiner can read your writing, and then make sure you have good structure to it. I would say at this point that during the exam I would ask for rough paper and I would make my points as I go. So before committing to the actual paper, make some bullet points and then use those bullet points. It is an essay-based question, so you are expected to write in a structured way. Also, I would say as a kind of exam preparation thing, at the beginning, what works well for a lot of students is they skip to this section straight away and read the questions from question 5 and 6. And this just helps them, so when they get to these big questions, their minds don't freeze up as much. And I would definitely suggest you skip through the exam, read these questions, make some notes straight away, and then go back to the beginning of the exam and then start the paper. And that way, when you come to this question maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes later, you won't have such a mind block about what they're asking you to do. Also remember that it is based on the production techniques and effects processing, so any comparisons that you're making need to be solely for that purpose. Also, you need to know that there are 2 areas, or there are 2 assessment objectives for this, AO3 and AO4, and I'll cover them in just a second. So, the question that we've got here from the sample material is we're comparing 2 Gregory Porter tracks. So they're both Liquid Spirit, but one is the original version and one is the remix. So it says here, compare the production techniques used in both versions, and once again, worth 15 marks, and it is an essay question. So for the assessment objectives then, so AO3, you're expected to demonstrate and apply knowledge and understanding of music technology. So this could be identify and discuss the individual tracks and their production techniques. So you could put these into categories. So you could say, right, the first category I'm going to look at is how it's been captured. The second category I'm going to look at is any sampling been used, any synthesis been used, and then you could look at effects and processing. If you categorize them out in this way, so you structure your essay question so that it's very defined points. So you've looked at capture from both songs, you've looked at sampling from both songs, you've maybe compared them, or you've just done them individually. So AO3 is just looking at them individually, and you can only be awarded 5 marks for this. But you can mix in AO3 and AO4 together. So if you just want to have one sentence or the first part based on capture, and it could take marks from both AO3 and AO4, and that's absolutely fine. So when it gets to the AO4 side of things, and it's worth 10 marks, it's a greater depth now, so you will be expected to compare both tracks and how they differ. So use analytical and appraising skills to make evaluative and critical judgments about the use of technology. And once again, we are only looking at how it's been produced, how it's been recorded, any effects that have been used, any kind of specific recording techniques that have been used. So this could be make suitable comparisons between the 2 versions, identify and explain a specific production quality and how it differs from the other track. Then these judgments can be taken from any of the areas again, so e.g. capture, sampling, synthesis, effects and processing, you will need to think about how you're going to structure your essay. And once again, I definitely think it's a really good point of call to kind of almost say, look, I'm going to look at capture for the first paragraph, I'm going to look at sampling for the second paragraph, synthesis for the third, effects and processing, or even put processing near at the top if you want to. It doesn't matter the way you structure it, but at least if you do it that way, there'll be less chance of repetition. So preparation for this particular question is fairly straightforward. It's fairly obvious. You're going to need to find lots of examples of two songs that are the same in name, if you like, but they're two different versions. So for instance, it could be that you find a song that's recorded by, I don't know, Britney Spears and Iron Maiden or something like that. So you get these two massive contrasts, but you can see how they differ. On musictechstudent.co.uk we do have 10 practice papers and 10 different comparison questions for you to have a little look at. Each question has a full mark scheme as well, so you can go through and see how you would have been awarded the marks, which is absolutely great. So I've just given you a couple of examples for what you could write here. So for the AO3 example under capture, to get 2 marks, and remember the AO3 is worth 5 marks in total, so you'd need 3 more of these. You could say something like the original is captured through mics and recorded live. And then the remix version is sequenced in a DAW. For AO4, the example is on compression in this particular instance. So it says compression is subtle in the original version and far more prominent in the remix. This gives a punchy dynamic. If you want to see more of these mark criteria, just go to the sample specifications, or once again, if you want to do more of these papers, if you want to look at more comparisons, go to the papers on Music Tech Student. We've got loads there. Any questions, give us a comment below and I'll be glad to answer them. We will look at this in more depth, but there's enough to get you going. So I'll see you in the next video.